So, this story started a while ago, and it is based around this lovely system, which is Storage Server 2015. Yes, this year I updated the storage server, well, my personal one anyway, and yeah, it was a long story. If you're wondering what that grinding noise is, the silly little fan in this thing is starting to go. So how about I turn this off, pull it out the rack, and show you and tell you about its creation. Thankfully I have the console permanently connected to it, so I can just pull out the tray and be like, yeah, whatever. Doo-doo. Ugh, I'll slide the rack in. There we go. I do like these when you draws. Takes its time to shut off. Boop. So around the back of the rack, it's pretty simple with this chassis. Two power supplies. I've only got the one plugged in because I don't have a redundant connection yet. KVM console, two onboard gigabit and 4 gigabit connections here that route into various places. I'll tell you more about those in a minute. Rack's a bit quieter now that it's turned off. Only marginally, because this Dell PowerConnect 5324 certainly thunders along, as well as that one new server. Storage Server 2015. Where do I begin is the get, I guess. So this all started quite some time back, where the original server that I built back in 2013 that had the Supermicro X8 STI 1 Xeon L5520 quad core and 24 gigs of non-ECC RAM. That sort of developed over time into just a general storage server. And in September last year, so 2014, I actually switched over to using FreeNAS with ZFS. And originally I started with 3 2TB drives, and in a RAID Z1. So I had 4 terabytes of storage with the capability to lose one drive. That was all hunky-dory, except I was a bit cautious about using non-ECC memory because everyone was like, yes, you need ample amounts of ECC memory, and I had the memory met easily with the requirements, but the non-ECC was a factor. And so some time passed where I was a bit like, maybe it's not as safe as it could be, and I was getting a little concerned. Which is when I came across this chassis, which is the Supermicro, even says on the air baffle here, SC846. And as you can see, it's pretty nice chassis, capable of, it's 4U, capable of 24 discs, redundant 900 watt power supplies in this model, because the actual model number is SC846 TAC R900, which states that it's redundant 900 power supplies. You can get a model with 1200 watt, which is pretty flipping phenomenal. And it has these 3 fans and 2 at the back. In this chassis, when I got it, there was just a small little control board in the center that all it did was hooked into the 24 pin of the power supply, the front I/O LED and buttons, and these back 2 fans, and it just simply powered up the board and ran dummy power. So with the use of an external SAS connector to an internal SAS 8087, I think it was a SAS 8088 to 8087, you could connect up to the internal backplane, with which I produced the backplane. 24 disc SAS expander, pretty cool. Takes 6 Molex power connectors across the bottom, has 3 fan power connects, which is how the 3 front fans in this system were actually being powered originally. We have one in primary SAS connector from the HBA or a RAID card to this expander. We have one for cascading, so you could connect out from this into another one of these. So you could have multiple JBODs in effect, and this one, documentation is a bit loose on this, but it's pretty much just a failover connection. And the model number on this is a SAS 846EL1. The EL2 model takes these additional bits, yes, let's just call them bits, why not? And essentially has dual SAS expander chips on them, and it allows you to either connect these up to two separate SAS cards, two different systems, or create a failover with redundant SAS cards, which is pretty overkill. Now you're most probably thinking, why isn't this in the system then? Why is it out of it? Well, this was more trouble than it was ever worth. Originally, when I planned on updating the server, I never intended on changing the motherboard or the processor, but was planning on switching over to ECC memory. And you might have seen I made a video a while back about flashing this card, which is the LSI 9240 AI. I mainly went for the 9240 because it was cheaper than the 9211 and the IBM M1015s. The M1015 closely resembles the 9240, which eventually led to me knowing that you could flash it. So originally I planned on using just one card, because this is SAS 2, so 6 gigabits per second, even though this backplane is only 3 gigabits per second. So, and plus the X8 STI board only has one PCI E expansion slot, unless you have the riser to stick it in a 2U case, which this isn't, and you know, I wouldn't be able to have the number of drives in a 2U case. And so when I initially flashed that card, hooked it up to this, it was great. From within the control software of the HBA, I could see all the drives, I could see they were all there. It was reporting all of them. Within FreeNAS, however, it was doing the same thing. It reported all the drives were there. It could read from the drives. It could not write to any of them. Like, as soon as you tried to write to anything, it would be like, nope. This was quickly found out when I tried to create a ZFS array on some spare disks, and it just went, nope. At first, because I was using spare disks, I thought, okay, maybe the disks have buggered up, and so I quickly went and checked them, connecting them via just standard SATA, like this drive, and they work perfectly fine. I'm thinking, okay, I've done something strange with the RAID card, so I actually flashed the card back to its stock firmware, just to confirm, and I was still having the same problems. So I then went and got a breakout cable, because these ones, like these ones where they go from an 8087 connector out to like a SAS connector, I got one of those, directly connected the drives, and they're perfectly fine. So all of the problems were just pointing at this thing. Now, these SAS expanders are supposed to be invisible to any other bit of software operating on them, and it is not designed to be user updated at all. So Supermicro don't have anything for you to update. Presumably you do something via JTagging the system, but as far as as updating it, I have no idea. So I quickly scrapped this idea of trying to get this to work, because even replacement ones were stupidly expensive. Like, I'm talking close to, I think they were 800 on eBay, which is a bit ridiculous considering that these ones were only 3 gigabit capable. So, change of plan altogether then. I had the idea of buying another SAS expander. There's some Intel ones that people have used and report that they work with FreeNAS, and then there's other people saying SAS expanders are a bit strange with FreeNAS anyway. So I was a bit skeptical of going with a SAS expander anyway, so I thought the better route, and way cheaper route, is to buy more HBAs, and do it via more HBAs. Simple. Well, not so simple, because my board only had one PCIe slot. So this prompted me thinking, well, gee, might update everything then. Which is when I got this board, which is another Supermicro board. This time the X8 DTN plus, D standing for dual socket. So same processors again. I have dual L5520s. I have 24 gigs of ECC RAM this time. Yes, I keep ticking because I'm hitting the chassis switch with my arm. But then I would need a second HBA. With this time, I went for a Dell H310 because, again, SAS 2008 chip should be perfectly fine to flash, not a problem. So with the Dell card, it was a bit more finicky to flash. You had to go, although Dell provides their own IT firmware, it's definitely not IT. It's actually an IR firmware, which, come on, if you're going to say it does one thing, it doesn't. Basically, the firmware version that these cards were shipping with was one that could not be flashed over with an IT mode. So their answer was to use an IR firmware, even though they're not the same. So what you have to do instead is flash it to a really old version of the firmware. I think it's like version 4 or something in comparison to like what it's on, which is 20, and then flash it up to version 20 of the IT firmware. I'm using version 20 because I'm using FreeNAS 9.3, so yay. So this board is pretty cool overall. It gave me the additional PCIe I'd need for my HBAs, and I've still got another PCIe slot for a third HBA for when I need additional drive capabilities. However, I did not want to take up the PCIe slots with additional network adapters. So I've got this, what is it, HP, I think it's a 380T or something. I can't remember. It should say somewhere on there. Ah, there. NC340T. That was close. I think the 380T is the PCIe version. And that is a quad-port gigabit card in a PCI X slot, 133 megahertz even. So full gigabit capabilities across all 4 ports, which is good. The only drawback to this motherboard is, in comparison to my other 2 Supermicro boards I have, the X8 and the X8 STI and the DT3F or whatever it is, in my other virtualization system, is it doesn't have IPMI built onto the board, which is where this very strange backwards, there we go, trying to get an image of it, backwards PCIe slot comes in. There's an actual expansion card that fits in there, so I might pick that up when I need IPMI connectivity. So with all these new HBAs, I needed a way to connect to them. So this was around the time that Linus was talking about his Storinator, which is a badass name for a server. This was the 45 drives machine. And in the back of those, in the base even, there's these pretty interesting all-in-one SAS and power connectors, like these ones. Except they had little wings on the side of them that allowed them to be screwed down into something. The reason I wanted to go with those is all-in-one connectors. See, I just got to fiddle with one connector rather than a data and a power, which is one of the things that this benefits from, is the fact that it's all-in-one connector, you just slide in. And plus I wanted to be able to screw them down into another, like I was going to create my own little backplane so I could just be able to hot plug these effectively, or have the same capabilities even though all of the drives were being direct attached. So these cables actually came from, when I looked for them on eBay, they were a bit expensive. Getting them first party over here were a bit expensive, so I ended up going on AliExpress and buying them. I think I paid something like 36 quid, including shipping, from China for 6 of these, so I'd have spares for the future, well, spares and additional ones for the future, for when I expand to more drives. And I think they took something like 2 weeks to turn up, which was fine. I wasn't really in a rush. Well, I thought I wasn't in a rush anyway to get the system running when I got them, and they were great. But during all of this, oh shit, But during all of the shipping, the gods of 0 and 1 decided, you there, you think that is reliable storage? No, 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 no. Disk failure. Oh shit. So here we got 3 2TB drives along the bottom. And I think it's this one, drive 1 in the array, 0, 1 and 2, decided that it was going to start kicking up a fuss and producing errors. I was like, oh shit. And this was at a time where I really needed critical data like storage. I was doing a lot of projects for my masters, and I was like, oh shit, I can't afford to lose anything. So I ordered a new drive and 3 additional 2TB, because what I did is on my other machine I set up another ZFS RAID Z1 array and copied all of the data across, and then went and rebuilt the drive. I entirely mirrored it quickly, so that in case something did happen weird, that I didn't lose any of my data. So perfectly fine at that point. But that stupid 2TB drive that was apparently failing, after formatting it, it works perfectly, which was strange. One of the things I did before deciding to replace it was I looked at the smart data and it was like, something's odd here, but not sure what. So I wanted to play it safe and just replace it just in case. Turns out it didn't need to be replaced. Oh well. But anyway, more drives, great. So now in this system in total, there are 2 320 gig drives. I should point the camera down a bit by here. They are mirrored. Yes, there are 2 500s also mirrored, and 2 160s that are striped or mirrored. I can't remember one. But essentially these 6 are used for connecting directly to VMs on the virtualization systems, and they're effectively remote disks. And these 2 RAID Zs, I ended up migrating all the data off, backing them up, and setting them up as 1 RAID Z2. So I have a 6-drive RAID Z2 capability of losing 2 of the drives and 8 terabytes worth of storage. So yeah, this system took quite some time to get done, and it's certainly full of headaches and oh shits and surprises, but it's an awesome system. It rocks out. It really does. I guess I've been ignoring this all this time, but this one SATA cable here that goes into the back of the 1500 here, and the reason for this bodgy job of electrical connectors, I know this is like fucking sin upon earth, but oh sin me, it works. I should really get a dedicated adapter at some point which doesn't have exposed metal on it, but oh well. Basically, this one drive, although it functions perfectly fine, it's a bit strange when connected to a HBA. It doesn't seem to, I think it's is it the low power green? I can't remember. No, it's not, it's the Seagate drive. Basically, it doesn't quite power up in time for the HBA firmware to catch it, which is kind of strange. I'm trying to reconnect it. There we go. Which is kind of strange, but oh well, it's one of the things you live with. So I've actually got that connected into the motherboard. Oh well. In terms of these 6 drives being used for connectivity to virtualized machines, that's what I was trying to say. This card is what I use for it. I used to play around with a InfiniBand connector, but to be honest, it wasn't great, it wasn't stable, it never worked properly because I was trying to use it with Proxmox and FreeNAS. So it was easier just to switch out to NFS shares via gigabit dedicated LANs. So on the virtualization system, on the larger one, it has its 2 onboard NICs that go out to the LAN. It also has a full port gigabit NIC, but they're using a PCIe card. 2 of which directly connect into this machine, and the other 2 connect into DMZs that I used to use but not anymore. And the smaller 1U server that you saw earlier, it only currently has the 2 on board. I'm still looking for the riser for the X8 STI so I can put it in the 1U chassis, I might just end up getting a flex cable. So that the one goes out to LAN and the one actually connects down into this system. And then there's a redundant link on this for something. I think it's just so it uses a different IP because there's 2 lag ports on here. So that was Storage Server 2015, the update, I guess. The music you heard was by Logan over at TekSyndicate, Zweihänder album. You can find that on Bandcamp. I would recommend it, it's pretty damn good, as well as the other stuff that's already been created. Drop a like if you liked it. Subscribe, maybe. No, there's no need to subscribe over here. Go check out my site, zanginator.com. You've most probably seen the watermark in the bottom corner of the video if you're still here. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.